Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today we are going to discuss the final keyword in Java. Let's get started. Let's get started by having a look at the common interview questions. Can we make a method final in Java? What is the use of a blank final field? What is the use of a final class in Java? Differentiate between abstract and final methods. Can a final method be overloaded? Are static final variables threads of? Let's have a look at the final usage. Field. A final variable prevents the content of that variable being modified. Method. A final method prevents the user from overriding that method. Class. A final class prevents the user from extending that class, thus preventing inheritance. Let's have a look at the final variable. The final variable prevents the content of that variable being modified. The final variable can be initialized only once and in one of the two ways. Number 1, the value can be assigned when variable is declared. Number 2, the value can be assigned within a constructor. The final variables essentially are read-only, thus they are thread-safe. Now, what is a blank final variable? When a final variable has not been assigned a value, this is called a blank final variable. This can only be initialized by a constructor. Now, let's discuss an example of a final variable. We are trying to create a class, and in that class, we are declaring a final variable a, which is of type integer. Now this final variable a can be directly initialized. Notice the other final variable c. We have not assigned any value yet. That is an example of a blank final variable. There is another blank final variable d, and now we have another static final variable, and then we have blank final static variable e of type double. Now notice that we can initialize c just within the initializer block, c equals 1. We can initialize the static final double variable e within the static block, and then we can also call the constructor for initializing the final variable d. Alright, so now let's move on to reference final variable. What is it? If a final variable holds reference to an object, the state of the object may be changed by operations on the object, but the variable will always refer to the same object. This property is called non-transitivity. This holds true for arrays because arrays are objects. When a final variable is holding reference to an array, the components of the array may be changed by operations on it, right? But the variable will always be pointing or referencing to the same array object. Now let's have a quick look at an example. Final string builder sb equals new string builder I can, and then we are trying to print it, which will print I can, and now we are trying to modify it, and we are appending crack it. So we are doing operations on it and we are printing it, and now it will print I can crack it. So notice this is an example of reference final variable. Now, let's have a look at final method. It is a method declared with final keyword. It cannot be overridden. If we try to override a final method, it will give compilation issues. Now, template methods from template design pattern are example of final methods. So you can give example of final methods from the real world if asked during the interview. Now, as we said, that final method cannot be overridden, but it can be inherited, right? Because suppose we are trying to create a class bike and then we declare the run method as final, and then we are creating another class wherein we are extending the bike class, and then in this class what we are doing, we are using the run method. Now the run method has already been inherited from the bike class, right? So final methods can be inherited. Moving on to final class. A class is declared with final keyword is called a final class. A final class can be of two uses. One is to prevent inheritance, as final classes cannot be extended. Example, all wrapper classes like integer, float, etc. are final classes. And the second use of a final class can be to create an immutable class. Now always remember that an immutable class cannot be created without using the final keyword, like the string class. We are trying to have a look at We are trying to have a look at an example, final class A, and in class A we are having the methods and the fields. Now if we try to extend class A, it will give compilation errors because final classes cannot be extended, right? Declaring a class as final implicitly means that all the methods of the class are final too, as the class can be extended. It is illegal to declare a class as both final and abstract, because abstract class means that it relies on the subclasses to provide complete implementation, right? So we cannot declare both at one time. So guys, that's all about the final keyword in Java. I hope you have liked my video and find it useful to an extent. So if you have liked this video, please do not forget to give thumbs up and subscribe for more updates. Thank you. Thanks for watching.